Hi, this is Scarlett Johnson, and you can see today is voting day in Wisconsin, April 1st. So the last chance to get out and vote for these very important races for state Supreme Court, for state superintendent, and there is a bunch of local nonpartisan races. And of big concern to me are the over 400 school board races in Wisconsin. And I'm here with the Wisconsin GOP Chairman, Brian Schimming. And so welcome, Brian.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Oh, busy. How about you?
It's that time of year. It's so funny because as I travel the state, and you have been too, you hear everyone says, what is this like? Because it's on TV all the time. You're seeing all sorts of messages, and it's got a November feel to it. You were out there in November. We were both on the Trump bus together, and it has a November feel to it. But the second reason for that are, in many ways, the stakes are as big as November.
Yeah, they really are. They're as big as November. The theme right now is if you voted for Trump on November 5th, 2024, you need to get out and vote today and vote for Judge Brad Schimmel for state Supreme Court. Why is it so important? I've listened to you give your stump speech many times throughout the state, but let's do it one more time. Why is it essential to vote for Brad Schimmel today and Brittany Kinzer and vote down the line?
Yeah, so Wisconsin Supreme Court, in that case, we have a 7-member court, 10-year terms. So when you have a court set, oftentimes those terms are staggered amongst the members. But, people stay on the Supreme Court usually for a very long time. And the effect of even one person on that court is astronomical because of how small that court is. There's only 7 of them. Conservatives controlled it for the better part of 15 years. It flipped to liberal control 2 years ago. We now have a liberal retiring, Justice Bradley, liberal Bradley, and Walsh Bradley. And so now's an opportunity to take the court back. There's almost kind of different levels of importance on this thing. Certainly one of the things that I talk about, you talk about as we travel the state a lot, is Act 10, Governor Walker's labor reforms. Back when Governor Walker was in his first term, critical importance. The court has essentially already said that they intend to strike it down. If it's possible, the new member coming on is more liberal than the liberal who's leaving. I have no doubt in my mind. I've said this publicly. I've said it on Steve Bannon's show. I've said it in Network, Newsmax, Fox, you name it, that I think Act 10 will be gone. In fact, I have no doubt that Act 10 will be gone. So Act 10 and its $35 billion of savings to local taxpayers will be gone. And the check is just absolutely going to have extra zeros on it because the cost will skyrocket if Act 10 is gone. So you get Act 10, you get issues like school choice, yes, charter schools, all the issue, right to work, pro-life, all of those issues will get revisited by a liberal court. It's interesting because you've seen a lot of articles and stories out there about how this court, the current court we have now, has been pretty quiet. They has been one of the least productive courts, Supreme Courts, in Wisconsin history. There's a reason for that. They're doing it on purpose because they don't want people to get excited, don't want to get our people excited before this election that's happening today. So there are those kind of issues that we oftentimes hear about, but the truth of the matter is there's a big issue, and that is 2 congressional seats in Wisconsin. 2 years ago, we got kind of a preview of what a liberal court would do when they tossed out the legislative maps that we have been operating under, but they didn't do the congressional maps 2 years ago, and I think that was on purpose. Well, now we're coming into another court here. Everyone on both sides pretty well says and agrees that an issue in this campaign is the congressional maps. Whether this court would do as it did 2 years ago and throw out the legislative maps. I mean, we're halfway through the census already. So we're halfway through the cycle already, and they're talking about throwing out maps again, which I've traveled all over the state, like 20 cities in the last week. I haven't saddled up to the bar to watch a game and have a sandwich or gone out or run into people on the street who said, you know what my number one issue is? I want these congressional maps thrown out because that really nobody talks like that, right?
I mean, don't even understand
like
that issue.
they don't, and you can't expect them to.
No.
That's a bunch of lawyer stuff down at the Supreme Court. So what happens, and I'm quite confident of this, is if the liberal in this case wins, Brad Schimmel's opponent Crawford wins in this case, I can just about guarantee you by the end of this week there'll be a third-party challenge to the current congressional map, not legislative, but the congressional map. And the whole point of that would be to have the court redraw the congressional map that we live under now to eliminate two Republicans, namely Derek Van Orden, Congressman Van Orden out in western Wisconsin, and Congressman Brian Stile down in southeastern Wisconsin.
Yep.
Well, okay, that's important. But why is that important? Well, number one, nobody's crying about that. They're legal maps as they are right now. What's important about it is the liberals have not, as I always say, they haven't said the quiet part out loud. They've said the loud part out louder. And that is that they will redraw these maps to draw Congressman Stile and Congressman Van Orden into districts they can't win in. Well, what's the concern of that? The concern of that is it affects the majority in the United States House of Representatives. We know we're at a bare majority right now. And so that would very likely take two Republican seats out of that majority, which is razor thin as it is. Well, who does that affect? It affects President Trump.
Yep, it does. And we don't have to guess what their plan is because they have made it very clear. There was an event was it this Saturday or Sunday, in which Susan Crawford, the Dane County judge that is the opponent of the more conservative common sense candidate, Judge Brad Schimmel, they're basically saying, hey, if you want to crack at the House, if you want to take back the House so that we can stop Trump's agenda, you need to get out and vote. Hakeem Jeffries in an interview did that. He said, like, hey, this is our chance. This is our chance to redraw the maps in a fair way. And if you look at Wisconsin, people that don't know, I mean, this is geared toward Wisconsin, but I've got a lot of followers from everywhere. But Wisconsin is bright red with a few blue dots in Madison and in Dane County and Milwaukee County. And so this claim that the maps are drawn unfairly, it's just the fact that Democrats are concentrated in these small areas, whereas the rest of the state is red. And they don't like that they're outnumbered because of demographics, and they want to recarve districts so that there's a sliver of Madison or Milwaukee in every map.
Yeah, 36, 37%. I mean, the Democrats claim the maps are rigged against them. The Democrats' problem is not rigged maps. The Democrats' problem is over a third of their vote are in two cities, Madison and Milwaukee. That's what their problem is that all their voters, or a good share of their voters, are all concentrated in two places. Madison, Milwaukee, that's no big secret. The Democrats know it themselves. They just can't afford to say it and admit it, of course. So, okay, so you potentially likely take out two Republican seats in Wisconsin, threaten the House majority. People will say to me sometimes, well, the elections aren't until 2026. But and what I say is, number one, when the court starts messing around with maps, you never know what you get and when you get it, number one. Number two, the current House majority, a couple of seats, that can change within a 2-year term. Look, we've seen two members of the House of Representatives pass away in the last 6 weeks. We've had two members pass away, and regrettable as it is. So these things change a lot. And so what's the threat? The threat is a threat to President Trump's agenda, which is why the president has been here or has been endorsing Brad Schimmel, done it very, very strongly.
Yep.
And secondly, what's the first resolution? Let's be honest about it here. What's the first resolution we're going to see if the Democrats get a House majority, or even if they don't, but it's close and they want to put people on roll calls. It'll be an impeachment resolution against Donald Trump. There's no doubt about it. They admit it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, of course. They will block Trump's agenda. We'll have a repeat of 2018 or
Oh,
2016 and oh my gosh, like nobody wants that. Not even Democrats. If you did a poll, the majority of people do not want to see a repeat of what happened from 2016 to 2020. They just don't want to deal with that. But that's what they want to do. They want to they want to stop Doge. They want to keep, all the trillions of dollars. They have used the government as a slush fund for all their pet causes and to get people, to act blue. There's just so much that's being uncovered, and they want to stop that. And another thing I want to address, because Elon Musk was just here in Green Bay, Wisconsin on Sunday, and I attended that rally, which was really cool. But all the protests, which were not large, by the way, these were not large protests. All they're saying is Elon Musk can't buy elections. And it's just so rich because for the last 5 years, it's been mega millionaires and Hollywood elite that have been buying Wisconsin elections.
oh.
And you can attest, how much is Crawford spending? How much more are we being outspent, even with the America PAC?
Yeah, it's pretty dramatic. I mean, I pointed out to a reporter when I was doing a press avail 2 days ago, I guess it was. I said, look, Wisconsin is not wealthy in terms of a lot of higher end billionaires and millionaires to help fund races. Look, they have money pouring in here from all over the country. And Eric Hovde got outspent against Tammy Baldwin, and she still almost lost. It was, less than 0.5%. So Eric Hovde, Donald Trump was outspent by Kamala Harris, and not by a little, by a lot. Ron Johnson was outspent by his opponent. Tim Michaels, the gubernatorial candidate 2 years ago, he was outspent. So it happens, all the time. So
every school board race too, we are always way out.
Oh yeah,
way
the
out.
unions kick in really hard and outspend conservatives on these things. People, I will tell you, that is a frustration amongst almost every state chair, even from states that are more Republican and wealthy, because of the way the Democrats move their money around. So this is the most important race in the country this year. There's not more than any gubernatorial race, more than any congressional race, because the implications, wiping out Act 10, wiping out school choice, wiping out charter schools, wiping out 2 Republican congressional seats. If this was, think about it this way. If this were a congressional special election, or a couple of them out in, Hog's Breath, South Dakota somewhere, or, wherever, we'd be dumping $20 million a seat into the thing, and people would be flying out from DC to knock on doors every weekend because you need to save those 2 seats. I would argue that this is analogous to that because everything's on the line.
Yeah, everything's on. Look at the Elise Stefanik. President Trump had to rescind her nomination because we cannot afford to lose a single seat, and her seat in New York, it just would be too much of a gamble that if she were to take that nomination as ambassador, leaving that seat open to a special election is just too much of a risk because it's such a slim margin. It's 3 votes right now with 4 vacant. And these special elections can be tough. People don't know they're happening. They don't get out and vote. And you don't want to have that risk. So these 2 seats, and possibly 3, even Scott Walker said maybe even 3, they might go for 3 in Wisconsin and redraw. Who knows what they'll do?
Sure.
But they will do it. If we lose today, they'll start working on it by tomorrow. By the end of the week, we'll know.
No doubt.
They're going to work real fast. They're going to work
absolutely, no doubt, no doubt in my mind that you're right, and it will happen immediately. They know what's coming here. They know that they're going to either win or they lose, and if they win, they have showed, as they did 2 years ago, that they are willing to move quickly to challenge the maps. That's what they did in legislative maps 2 years ago. It was like it was the next day that a third party group was in filing. So I think what we kind of know what the bill of particulars is here in terms of how this is going to shake out. So I just say to people, if you are in Wisconsin, obviously you need to vote today. But I would also say not just vote, but you have the most powerful thing you can do other than you voting in your hand right here. And if people go, there is nobody that I know. I mean, you and I both have tons of contacts all over the place, but there is nobody watching us right now that don't have 5 to 10 contacts on their smartphone that you could spend a half an hour today or 40 minutes calling and saying, hey, I do this as a favor. We're trying to save the state. The implications are really big. Can you please promise me that you will go vote today? I'll come over and pick you up. I'll arrange to get a ride. I'll do whatever. If you get your kids along, I'll look after them while you're in voting,
Yep.
whatever it takes. Literally the power of that. Scarlett, as you know, and we've spoken about this publicly and between us, I don't know how many times over the years, we've had, just so think about Wisconsin, only a little less than 6 million people. We've had 13 races in 26 years in this state, 13 races in 26 years that have been decided statewide by less than 30,000 votes. That's less votes that you'll see in an assembly election sometimes, but that's statewide. So people go, oh, really, what can I do or whatever. It's people, everyday folks can have a massive impact on what's happening here in Wisconsin, but they need to do it between now and 8 o'clock tonight. I know people are busy, but there's nothing more important, unless it's a family emergency. There's nothing more important right now than picking up your phone and calling. Go through your contact list and go through, 5, 10, 15, 20, as many as you can do and get them to vote. That incremental number of folks is what leads to victory. Frankly, if we hadn't gotten people to do that last fall, Donald Trump would not be president of the United States right now. He's president because people took that extra step that you and I are talking about right now.
And look, it's a sunny day out. It was supposed to rain.
Beautiful.
It's a nice sunny day in Wisconsin. So get out and vote. And like you said, a lot of the people watching, they voted early or they're going to vote, but make sure your spouse has voted. Make sure you have 18-year-old kids in high school. Drive them. Say, let's go. We're going to go vote before dinner. If you have college kids, tell them to go vote. Tell them who to vote for. Even tell them, like, here's the school board candidates, because they're probably not going to know that. Say, okay, honey, here's the board treasurer that you're going to vote for. Here's the district attorney. And if you don't have that information, you can go to your county GOP website where they're going to have. I know I'm in Ozaukee County. It's easy to find, easy to do a search and find your recommended voter list. Every county has one.
Yep.
WithRed has one. Moms for Liberty groups, we have endorsed candidates. I'm going to be something I'm going to do today is shout out later on today. As soon as I have to go to my daughter's school and drop off her computer, but then I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about, here are the school board candidates. I'm going to put posts out. So if you don't know, DM me and say, who do I vote for in such and such school district? And there's also Laura Ackman, Bill Brewer, Amber Infosimo. They're all ambassadors. Contact them. Go to the Moms for Liberty Wisconsin Facebook page, and you will find out who you need to vote for. So there's all sorts of ways. And if you don't, where do they go if they don't know where their polling location is?
And oftentimes those school board races, also, county board, city council, town board, they're decided by less than 10 votes, literally less than 10 votes. It happens every single year where you have a local race where maybe it's the top 2 of 4 or 3 of 6. Or, in a school board race where, the whole city or village or a village and 3 townships around it are voting. It's an off year. They don't vote very heavily, let's be honest, in these off year elections. So the vote that you have in a race where the turnout is low is exponentially more influential because you just get that extra 5 or 10 votes. And I can name you every single time in every single election where we had multiple people get elected by less than 10 votes. You pick this phone up and call people and say, can I take you over there? Will you please go vote? Have you had a chance to vote yet? And give people a quick refresh on, look, these campaigns, they can spend, these national and state campaigns, they can spend hundreds of millions or billions of dollars on television advertising, but none of it matters if people don't go vote. I mean, the great equalizer is election day and early vote, but election day. Today is the equalizer against all the money that's getting spent for Susan Crawford. So I tell people, I said, go and do that, and we will have a terrific night tonight if Brad Schimmel can win, and if we get a yes vote on the referendum. But if Brad Schimmel can win and Brittany Kinzer, I'm telling you, you will feel the earth shaking underneath you if we get 2 wins in Wisconsin tonight.
And we had a race in Mequon, 37 votes. We lost by 37 votes. I mean, and I guarantee
happens every election.
There were 37 conservatives, 37 Republicans that just, I didn't know.
Guaranteed.
I was going to vote and I didn't. So just make the calls and make the time. It's so quick. It's so easy. In Orange County, we've got great, they are very efficient. It works very quickly. And now the weather's good, easy to do, and you'll feel great about it, and you won't have regrets. And I really want Brittany Kinzer for state superintendent. We need to get rid of Jill Underly. I mean, if you're following me, just you can search up Jill Underly. I could spend all day talking about.
She's a disaster.
She is a disaster.
She's so bad, even Tony Evers won't endorse her. That's how bad she is.
Yeah, I mean, she has been endorsed by because she is a Democrat. She is donated to Democrats and Republicans. Now she identifies as independent, but she is not a political person. And I know her well. And when she's
one of us on school issues, that's for sure.
Issue she is, and anyone who knows me knows that I would not endorse her if I did not think that she was going to do right by our kids in Wisconsin. And I know she will. I know that her head and her heart in the right place, that she truly wants to improve education and not be like Jill Underly, who is a political hack. She's a political hack. She views her position as DPI, state superintendent, as a political act. She views teaching as a political act. And what has it done? Milwaukee kids rank last in the country. Last in the country. They can't read.
Disgraceful.
It's disgraceful. It is. If you want to talk about racist, when the disadvantaged Black and brown community, that their children, they can't read, that's racist. That's truly racist. It
really is. And it's, I'd rather spend more time with you, but I got to jump off for a 10 o'clock hit. But and I appreciate the opportunity to come on. People, go vote. It is this simple. By 8 o'clock tonight, you have to get to your local polling place. If you've not early voted, if you've done it, great. If you haven't done it, go get 5 to 10 people today. If there's any time that you need to, reach out your hand to friends and get them to do something, today's today. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on, that's for sure. And we'll see you later at what we want to be a victory party, and it can be a victory party if people watching us right now go vote.
Yes, thanks for coming on, Brian. I'll just say a few closing words and I'll head off myself, and then I will be back. I'm going to be doing live streaming all day and posting on all my social media accounts. So let's go. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate so much you being on. It is so important. It is so important that we vote today. I'm looking right now. Vicki McKenna, my friend, had posted from Wisconsin right now, my friends Jim and Jessica, the Trafalgar poll. I'm going to say that wrong. It is a statistical dead heat. They show Crawford at 50%, Schimmel at 49%, with a 2.9% margin of error. The voting today that takes place will decide this election between Brad Schimmel and Susan Crawford. So if we come out and vote like we did on November 5th, if every person that voted for Trump gets out to vote for Brad Schimmel, for Brittany Kinzer, and if they can get the awareness and find out, hey, who are the school board candidates I need to vote for, it'll be a clean sweep. A lot of times people don't know who to vote for school board, and there's no R, there's no D, there's just a list of names. And so if you're listening to this, post to your social media, these are the candidates to support. Send texts to your friends. They may have heard about Brad Schimmel and they're going to go vote, but many times they don't know who to vote for school board. They're not, they'll look at, a lot of people tell me, I just look at the signs on a lawn. So find out who are the school board candidates that are on Team Sanity. Who are the school board candidates that will stand firm with President Trump's executive orders, who will not put boys in our girls' locker rooms, who will not allow boys to expose themselves to our girls, who will not support curriculum that sexualizes very young children. They will not support curriculum in which yesterday was Transgender Day of Visibility. Do you know how many Wisconsin schools were pumping indoctrination to your kids, reading them books about all the multitude of gender identities that they can have? Basically, they are more interested in talking about being transgender than they are about phonics, because it's a lot easier to indoctrinate kids than to educate kids. Real easy to just sing them songs, put up trans pride flags, and pretend like you're teaching kids than to actually teach kids. The majority of teachers want nothing to do with this. I want to say we are pro-teacher. I want teachers to make more money. I want teachers to, I want the field of education and what they do. It is so important. And I think it has been devalued. My heart goes out to teachers. I think that there needs to be solutions to make sure they're paid better. They have better resources. They don't need new buildings. These referendums, they don't need new buildings. We need aides. We need specialists. We need teachers with qualifications, that we need to support teachers to do further in-service training. And no, not DEI in-service training, not the training that Jill Underly provides, in which there's a half-hour acknowledgement of land. That's insane. That literally pure insanity, critical race theory, gender ideology, basically anti-human, anti-Western, white people are all evil and they're inherently bad. This is all stolen land, all that garbage. That our education system is just been overloaded with this garbage, and most teachers want nothing to do with it, but they are forced. They are told, do this or you lose your job. Put in a GSA, a Gender Sexuality Alliance Club, in the kindergarten class, or you lose your job. Or we'll report you to Jill Underly, and her minion of woke witch soldiers will come after you. And Jill Underly is exactly the person that will defy President Trump's executive orders, and then of course we get Susan Crawford in state Supreme Court, and they're going to just thumb their nose at all of the changes that we voted for in November. So it matters. It matters. If you're frustrated when you look at the national news and you see that there are judges, that they shop around for judges in New York, judges in DC, judges in Colorado, that are blocking blocking the implementation of initiatives, policies that will stop DEI, or that will say, hey, you can't spend $1 billion on DEI initiatives in countries that we can't find on a map. We're not going to waste money anymore. You don't need 1,000 IRS employees to hand out a phone and a computer. That is their sole job. It's pretty strange that we've had this huge increase in Social Security cards and to illegal immigrants. It's pretty strange that my mother-in-law struggles, to get her Social Security payments. But if I am a 20-year-old illegal immigrant, I have no trouble. I'm getting Medicare, Medicaid, I'm getting Social Security money, I'm getting food stamps, a food stamp card. That this is just not okay. Unfortunately, the left has figured out a system in which they think that they can buy votes, that they can import votes, and it's worked in some areas. It really has. And so we need to fight back. And the way that we fight back is we vote. So we vote to save our schools. We put kids first today, April 1st. So let's put kids first. Let's put our state first and our country first. And I almost forgot, there is a very important referendum question, and it is simple. To vote in Wisconsin, you need to show an ID. I just traveled. To get on a plane, I had to show my ID. If I'm going to buy wine, sometimes I still even have to show ID. Thank you. That's a compliment, I guess. You have to show an ID for the most simple things. I have to show an ID to enter my kid's school. I have to show an ID, or they have my ID on record. I can't just walk into my kid's school. Can't do it. Need an ID. You need an ID in order to do many things. So it is not racist, and it is not cumbersome to ask people to get an ID. And frankly, a lot of Democrats will say, "Oh my gosh, it's racist." And I'm Puerto Rican. Okay, it's racist to ask Hispanic people to go get an ID. That's racist. I mean, seriously, like, we can't figure out how to go get an ID. If you are getting any sort of Social Security benefits, you have a photo ID. If you are getting any Medicare or Medicaid benefits, you have an ID. If you need to go on an airplane, you have an ID. If you need to buy a 6-pack of beer, you have an ID. There are so many, like, if you, again, enter your kid's school, you have an ID. There is something nefarious about not requiring an ID. And Scott Walker made this point. In the states that don't require an ID, it almost exclusively all went for Kamala Harris, except one. I think there was 16 or 17 states that do not require a photo ID. You do the math. Again, this is like an 80% issue. It's common sense. Show an ID to vote. Why would Susan Crawford be against that? Why would Susan Crawford want to put boys in girls' bathroom? Because she will. She absolutely will. Just like Jill Underly. Jill Underly said so. She said so in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. She's going to put boys in the girls' bathroom because she's going to prioritize their feelings. She's going to put boys on your girls' athletic teams because she's going to prioritize their feelings. She's going to force your daughters to call men women. She's going to force your sons to call women men. We're going to have that term it's no joke. Okay, Governor Evers called us inseminated persons. That's going to be the law of the state. That because there'll be some case that will go before the Wisconsin State Supreme Court, and they're going to say, "Oh yeah, no longer, you can't say mother anymore. That's discriminatory. We can't gender motherhood." It's ridiculous. It's insane. Wisconsin became the laughing stock of the country. But these are Democrats, and the Democrats support Susan Crawford. She is a radical leftist, and she's pretending like she's just moderate. She's not going to talk. But those who are talking for her surrogates, they are making it very clear what the agenda is. And the agenda is not some sensible approach to abortion. It's abortion on demand. It's abortion. Hey, I had the baby and decided I don't want it. If you asked her, Just like if you ask her, what is a woman? She won't tell you. And if you ask her, can you abort a baby 10 seconds after it comes out of the birth canal? She'll say it's a woman's choice, because woke ideology, there are no safeguards. There are no barriers. There are no restrictions. It is an ideology that has very extreme views because they're afraid to take a stand on anything, except how much they hate Elon Musk and Trump and white people and Christians and capitalism. Because at its core, woke ideology is revolutionary. It is Marxist, and it doesn't build things. That's why they hate Elon Musk. That's why they hate Trump. It's an ideology of resentment and kind of hatred of things that are normal. Most people want things to be normal, right? Like, we want things to be normal. We just want to live our lives and be normal. And that is universal, regardless of who you're voting for. That's why 80% of Wisconsinites, just like 80% of Americans, don't want boys in their girls' bathrooms. And the 20% that do, they're lunatics. They're straight up lunatics, or they're lying. But I've seen these people in person, and they're a couple eggs short of a dozen. Let's just say that. We should not have crazy people, and literal crazy people, telling us how to run our state, how to run our lives. They should not at all be in charge of schools. Absolutely should not. There should be some level of sanity and common sense that is required before you teach little kids. And unfortunately, we've got to really combat this woke mind virus. And as a mom of 5 kids, we can't do it soon enough. So that was my rant. It went longer than I planned, but I will be back on. I want to talk more about some school board races, and I'm going to post a lot today. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to just figure out how can I help? How can I encourage more people to please get out and vote, and to vote in those school board races? Because I promise you, tomorrow we're going to see areas that are conservative, and they came out and they voted for Schimmel, and they didn't go down ballot, and they didn't vote for Brittany Kinzer. And you got to vote for Brittany Kinzer, okay? And then maybe they voted for Schimmel, maybe they voted for Kinzer, but they didn't go further down, and they didn't vote for their district attorney, or they didn't vote for their county supervisor, and they didn't vote for their school board members because they didn't know who to vote for. That's not an excuse, all right? It's not an excuse. You can find out who to vote for. You can do that. And if you're a person that you know exactly who folks in your community should be voting for, put it everywhere. Put it all over your social media. Put it on the Nextdoor app. Make those texts, those phone calls, and put the signs out on your yard. Just do everything you can. If you're at the grocery store and you run into someone, hey, did you vote? And remember, don't forget to vote for your school board candidates. In a friendly way. You can just just don't forget. Make sure you get out and vote. Just a little reminder. And if you need any help, and remember, again, your county GOP will have endorsed candidate list. WisRed has a really great list. I know Ozaukee has a list. We don't have as many candidates. Washington County, Lapoca, like all of I'll miss one, but of the 72 counties in Wisconsin, each county, Milwaukee County, they all will have a list of endorsed candidates, and Moms for Liberty will have a list of preferred candidates, endorsed candidates. And if you don't know who those candidates are, send an email, send a DM to your local Moms for Liberty chapter, or the one that is nearest you. We have chapters in 22 counties. Hopefully this time next year, we have doubled that. But, and I am going to do my best to try to put out a list of school board candidates, because that can be a little trickier. I know that that maybe your kids are grown or you don't have kids yet, so you're not really aware of what, who's running, who should I support, who is going to reflect common sense values. And sometimes there'll be 4 candidates running and there's only one. You only vote for the one. Then you don't, if there are 4 positions and only one is conservative, vote for one. If there are 2 and only one is a conservative common sense candidate, vote for that one, only that one. But well, I think that's enough for now. Get out and vote, please. Vote like your kids and the kids in your community depend on it, because they do. This is the future of our state. We don't want to be Minnesota. We don't want to turn into Illinois. Believe me, I have a lot of good friends in Illinois. Don't do it. It wasn't too long ago that Illinois was not a one-party state, okay? I am old enough to remember when Illinois was not a one-party state. We do not want to become a one-party state. That's the kind of thing that takes a generation. It could be decades before Wisconsin ever recovers, and maybe would never recover from it fully. We don't want to be New York. We don't want to be California. We don't want to be like our neighbors in Illinois and Minnesota. All right, we get a lot of people that flee Chicago for right here in Mequon. Unfortunately, they bring their bad ideas with them. They wanted to get out of those bad schools. They wanted to get out of those high property taxes. They wanted to live somewhere safe. And then they come here and they vote for woke candidates. And so let's not be a haven for left-wing activists escaping the very situations that they created. Let's be a haven for common sense, and let's make Wisconsin normal again. All right. By signing off, I will be doing more of these. And please share and follow me, Scarlett at Scarlett for Kids. I also am doing social media for National Moms for Liberty, and go to momsforliberty.org if you want any information on Moms for Liberty, how to join a chapter or start a chapter. That's momsforliberty.org. And very soon we'll have a Moms for Liberty Wisconsin site back up and running again. And Facebook. Every chapter has a Facebook page. We have a national Facebook page, and we have information about voting in Wisconsin on our national Facebook page. Moms for Liberty Wisconsin really just killing it this year, because we have supported in some way, one way or another, the over 400 school board races in Wisconsin. We have targeted certain key races with providing PAC money to candidates. We've done statewide texting, statewide get out the vote ad campaigns with millions of views. We are boosting posts on social media. We are making phone calls, and we are doing the grassroots door knocking. We're doing events. We've been doing events nonstop, meeting people where they're at, putting on presentations. And I am proud to say I'm one of 4 ambassadors, mom and dad ambassadors, me, Bill Brewer, Laura Ackman, and Amber Infosimo. We have been traveling the state for some of us over a year now. And after this election, no matter what happens, we'll continue to do that work, because that work is really making a difference. And we are awake, not woke, and we are the boots on the ground, and happy to be that. So thank you all for supporting us, and I hope that we can support you all more and more and more as we grow and grow and grow, because we are just getting started. Bye, y'all. Crossing fingers, praying, and doing the work most of all. All right, bye.